In the silence of ancient Egypt, when night fell over the Nile and shadows crept through every home, there was one presence people trusted above all others. Not a king, not an army, but a goddess who watched from the darkness with unblinking eyes. She was Bastet. To the untrained eye, she appeared gentle, a graceful cat, calm and elegant, resting in the warmth of the sun. But beneath that serenity lived something far more dangerous. Because Bastet was not only the goddess of cats, she was the guardian of the home, the protector of mothers and children, and the unseen force that stood between order and chaos. The ancient Egyptians believed that when evil spirits crept into the night, when disease, fear, or darkness threatened the household, Bastet was already there, silent, watchful, and ready to strike. She was joy and music. She was warmth and motherhood. But she was also fury, the same divine fire that once burned within the lioness goddesses of war. To love Bastet was to feel safe. To threaten what she protected was to invite divine punishment. This is not just the story of a cat goddess. This is the story of how protection became sacred, how femininity became power, and how one goddess embodied both tenderness and terror. This is the story of Bastet, guardian of the home, defender against darkness, and the silent watcher of ancient Egypt. Bastet was not born gentle. In the earliest days of Egyptian belief, she emerged as a force of raw, solar power, a daughter of Ra, the sun god himself. She was one of the many manifestations of the Eye of Ra, the living weapon of divine justice sent to protect cosmic order, known as Ma'at. When chaos rose, the Eye was unleashed. And Bastet, in her earliest form, was closer to a lioness than a house cat, a hunter shaped by fire, speed, and deadly precision. But unlike other warrior goddesses, Bastet did not remain consumed by rage. Over time, her power transformed. As Egyptian society evolved, so did their gods. The wild lioness softened into the domestic cat, not weaker, but more controlled. The ancient Egyptians watched cats closely. They saw how silently they moved through darkness, how fiercely they defended their young, and how effortlessly they killed serpents, rats, and creatures of disease. To them, cats were not pets. They were living guardians. And Bastet became their divine embodiment. She was no longer only the destroyer of enemies, but the protector of the home, the guardian of women, children, and childbirth, and the silent shield against sickness and evil spirits. This is why cats became sacred across Egypt. To harm a cat was to insult Bastet herself, a crime so severe it could lead to death. Families placed cat statues at their doorways, believing Bastet watched through their eyes. Mothers prayed to her for safe births. Homes filled with music, incense, and laughter in her honor. And nowhere was Bastet revered more deeply than in the city of Bubastis. Bubastis was not a city of fear or war. It was a city of joy. Here stood Bastet's greatest temple, a sacred place filled with gardens, canals, and festival halls. Once a year, tens of thousands traveled to Bubastis for one of the most famous celebrations in all of Egypt. Music echoed through the streets. Dancing filled the night. Wine flowed freely, not as excess, but as devotion. For Bastet was also the goddess of pleasure, harmony, and balance. She represented life lived fully, protected, joyful, and warm beneath the sun. But make no mistake, behind the laughter, behind the gentle feline face, the Eye of Ra still watched. Because Bastet had a sister, or perhaps another self, Sekhmet. Where Bastet was restraint, Sekhmet was destruction. Sekhmet was the lioness of war, plague, and annihilation, the Eye of Ra when it lost control. According to myth, when humanity rebelled against Ra, Sekhmet was sent to punish them and nearly destroyed the world in her bloodlust. It was Bastet's nature, calm, balanced, controlled, that represented the other path. Some believed Bastet and Sekhmet were two sides of the same divine force: rage and mercy, fire and warmth, destruction and protection. When chaos threatened to consume everything, Sekhmet burned. When order needed to be preserved, Bastet watched. This balance was everything to the Egyptians, because they understood a truth that still echoes today. Protection does not always roar. Sometimes it purrs in the dark, waiting patiently until the moment it must strike. To the ancient Egyptians, Bastet was never just a goddess. She was present in every home, in every quiet night, in every moment when life needed protection rather than conquest. While other gods ruled the sky, the underworld, or the battlefield, Bastet ruled something far more intimate: daily life itself. She stood at the threshold between safety and chaos, where unseen dangers crept quietly, and where strength was measured not by destruction, but by restraint. In Bastet, the Egyptians saw a powerful truth, that femininity was not weakness, it was control. She did not dominate through fear, nor did she conquer through endless violence. Her power was subtle, a watchful presence, a quiet readiness, a force that protected without needing to be seen. Bastet embodied balance, the harmony between tenderness and ferocity, between joy and vigilance, between love and lethal precision. As a mother, she guarded children. As a goddess, she guarded order. As a symbol, she taught that true power knows when to strike and when to remain still. In a world governed by Maat, the sacred balance of truth, order, and harmony, Bastet was its silent keeper. She reminded humanity that chaos does not always arrive with thunder. Sometimes it whispers, and only those who are patient, aware, and disciplined can stop it before it takes form. Even today, her image endures, not merely as a cat, but as a lesson carved into myth. That protection can be gentle, that strength can be graceful, and that the most powerful guardians are often the ones who never seek the spotlight. In the soft glow of ancient lamplight, as shadows moved along stone walls, the people of Egypt believed one thing with certainty. As long as Bastet watched, they were not alone.